Welcome everyone to another edition of Hammer Time, the only show that talks about the Pittsburgh Maulers exclusively. Sorry, early morning. Filming this on Wednesday morning. Another victory, man. We got two this year, right? That's big news for this organization. As last year they only won once. So 2 wins. It's a lot easier to do the show when you're coming off a victory. Of course, they beat the Michigan Panthers in Detroit this week. They went 2-0 this year in Detroit. They beat them 23-7. The game they were in control the entire time outside of the first quarter, where it felt like it was still a game. But outside of that, the defense dominated. I'm going to continue to keep this photo up there of Tizino and the linebackers. I believe that's Dale and Ruben from week one, because once again the defense is a unit together, ready to go. 23-7. Mason Stockey gets the first touchdown. Isaiah Henney, it just field goals. It just a complete team effort. Three things you need to know. First, we're going to start with possessions. So they both got 12 possessions. The Maulers got less plays. The Maulers got more yards, considerably more yards, and that yards per play was really the stat I was going for. 5.8 yards per play compared to the Panthers' 2.6. That's huge. You know what I mean? You're halfway to a first down every single play that you average at least a half a first down, right? Turnovers, +2 in that category. They continue to be the best in the category of creating turnovers. And right now, the offense, yes, they did have 2 turnovers, but the majority of the time they're keeping track of the ball. And then the defensive stats, right? You look at the defensive stats. The entire unit. Tizino was 7 tackles, quiet day. Dale Warren was 6 tackles. Kind of had a quiet day outside of that 1 tackle for loss. Torneden, quiet day. Eli Walker was everywhere. Still had a quiet day. Okoye had 4 tackles for loss. And it was just part of the unit, right? Now, Nasir Player had the half a sack. Tarpley had the interception. Of course, he had the big play. Beckner had 2 sacks. Malcolm Howard had to have a sack. Boogie was hitting the quarterback the entire time. It might not show up on the stat report, but Boogie and Olive were getting to the quarterback every single time. That's the reason why I had to have Olive on there, and it's tough to fit him in on this graphic with only 1 tackle. But if you watch that game, Boogie and Olive were all over the place. And another guy that was playing solid was Mark Gilbert. Mark Gilbert obviously was a defensive player of the nominee for the league. Troy Williams was an offensive player. He actually won it. But this week for Hammer Time Player of the Week, I'm definitely going with Mark Gilbert, right? 2 tackles, 1 interception, 5 pass deflections. He shut down Joe Walker. We talked about how Joe Walker was the player to watch out for the Michigan Panthers, and Mark Gilbert just put him in his pocket. Check his pockets, because there's keys and there's Joe Walker. Mark Gilbert absolutely dominated him. Absolutely dominated him. You could say, well, Walker had this many catches. I don't care how many catches he had. That offense could not pass the ball to him. A couple of those pass interference penalties, I think, could have gone either way. Of course, I'm looking through the lenses of a Mauler supporter, but there's one that was absolutely terrible. Basically, Joe Walker fell on Mark Gilbert, and Mark Gilbert got in trouble for the pass interference. I feel like he is one of the better corners in the league, and he plays that tough outside corner that the Pittsburgh Maulers were looking for. And between him and Keith Gibson, they've got a pair. Flames, of course, we talk about Flames. Passing offense, we went 7 out of 10. Troy Williams starting to settle in. He's starting to settle in with Bailey, with Trey, and Isaiah Henney. That gets a little scary when you start adding these weapons. Now you might add a CJ Turner or Josh Simmons for that 4th one. And of course, he finds Mason Stockey. Quite often when he needs something, Groshek, I believe, had a catch. You see that passing offense develop every single week. Troy Williams is offensive player of the week for the entire league. I just feel like they just keep growing, and the momentum, and we'll talk about it more, but that momentum just continues to get hotter. And those Flames, if you remember the Flames from week 1, I believe it was at 2, right? I believe I gave them the benefit of the doubt saying, hey, you got 2 quarterbacks and it's week 1. It's now at 7, and it continues to grow. Rushing offense, it grew. They got first downs when they needed to. Troy Williams led the team in rushing. Groshek didn't have a great average. Madre had a couple runs, but I feel like that's developing. Now you get that passing offense to develop to where it's 7 out of 10 Flames, right? That rushing offense will continue to grow. It should continue to grow. Offensive line, they couldn't stop Breland Speaks, but they were pretty solid for the most part. Troy takes hits because Troy waits in there and he's a tough quarterback. So I'm not going to judge it on based on how many times the quarterback gets hit. But the offensive line was better than it has been, but it still has room to grow, especially in the rushing offense. Defense overall, I gave it 10 out of 10. This is the first perfect score of the year. The defense, especially the front, dominated the game. Absolutely dominated the game. Did not give Carson Strong or Josh Love any time to throw the ball the entire game from quarter 1 to quarter 4. And it wasn't just the starters, Boogie and Olive. Of course, they did a lot of the work. But when you got Beckner and they're rotating players and Vaughn Taylor and Nasir Player and Malcolm Howard, and you're rotating players on the edge guys, and they are hitting the quarterback every single time, like you just have to realize that this team is something special. And the defense definitely is part of it. Special teams, 8 out of 10. Pretty good game. Blew it, kicked his kicks. The extra point was off the upright, but it went through. A solid game. Mangle did all right. I really feel that this team is gelling at the right time. Returning kicks, Henny and Simmons, they are maybe the best pair in the league. No catch hit Henny on the punts. And of course, I got to show Dale Warren with the turnover hammer. One of the greatest things for the league is the turnover hammer. And when the Maulers get a defensive turnover, you see Coach Hole or equipment or trainer, equipment manager Javi bringing that hammer and handing it out and giving it to the guys, and it just the whole team centers around it. And the turnover hammer might be the best thing in the league. So we move on to week 6. We got the Showboats, another early game on Saturday. USA. We're America's team, so we're on USA the second half of the year. Two keys to the game: put them away. I feel like when you watch the Showboats, they're always just hanging around. You have to put this team away. Cole Kelly will keep you in the game. Cole Kelly is a gamer and really tough to tackle, and you have to put them away and put them away early. Don't let them hang around. And the second key is continue to grow. Both teams right now are on their best stretch of USFL football. Let's be honest. The Boats were bandits last year. They kind of were stuck in neutral the entire year. The Maulers obviously went 1-9. And this year, the Boats started 0-3. Now they've beaten the Breakers. Right? Now they've beaten the Panthers. In back-to-back weeks, they're rolling. Cole Kelly, they found their quarterback. They're getting some guys back on offense. That passing game develops more and more. The defense gets after it, but you got to put them away. Continue to grow. Offense got to continue to get better. Defense just continue to dominate. Who to prep for? Vinny Papale, right? He's the slot kind of guy. 18 receptions, 208 yards, 25 targets. He's their top target. They do have a couple guys that they like to spread the ball to, but it seems like Papale is Mr. Cole Kelly's security blanket when he needs something. Ryan McDaniel, they have a lot of talented players, especially at wide receiver. But I really believe if we can control Papale, and that'll probably be like a Tarpley, Torridon, Eli Walker kind of chore, or maybe a Kirk or a Gray. But it looks like you got to control. Excuse me. you got to control Papali to stop them. 25 targets. He is the most targeted guy. On the other side, Jeff McCullough, I picked him because he's got 3.5 sacks, but they have multiple guys that get sacks. Their front seven gets after it. So the offensive line definitely needs to bring the force. They've got to be able to give Troy time to let him settle in, because I really believe that they can pass the ball. If the offensive line protects the quarterback, I really believe that Bailey and Isaiah and Trey will have a great game. Hammer firing of the week. Look what I did. Whoo! 3 wide receivers. I want to see this passing game to be explosive. Isaiah is the underneath guy. I know they all basically can do all of it, but Isaiah is the underneath guy. And that kind of represents the running game, kind of, keep them close so you can go over the top. Isaiah Henne's that. Trey Walker, I need all these wide receivers to continue to catch the ball. When we're able to pass the ball, we should be able to move the ball, especially with these 3 guys leading the way. So I'm giving Trey Walker, we need big plays from wide receivers. And then Bailey Gaither. Bailey Gaither represents moments. You saw his one-handed catch, probably catch of the year against the Panthers. The whole team needs moments. Bailey Gaither represents all moments. We need every guy on the team to have a moment this week, and it will be easy. So Isaiah Henne is that underneath offense, right? Trey Walker's the big play. Especially the wide receivers continue to move the ball. Isaiah Henne kind of represents Mason Stockey, Garrett Groshek, everyone that gets the ball kind of close to the line of scrimmage and be able to get first downs and be able to take it a little bit further. Isaiah Henne also represents the offensive line here, because it's got to help out the offensive line with the pressure that these Carnell Lynx defense brings. Trey Walker's that big play, right? And that all 3 of these wide receivers plus CJ Turner and whoever's activated, Simmons, if Hunter Rising gets activated, they all need to make plays. I really think the wide receivers need to have a good game. And then Bailey Gaither is the moments. Every guy on the team's got to have a moment. This is one of those games that you got to have the entire team, because they're kind of one of those, they bend, don't break, and they don't die, and they just hang around. That's why I said put them away. And Bailey Gaither was able to provide that moment last week, and the whole team needs to provide that moment. 4 things. Weirdly, this is the number 1 segment for this show. People apparently go back to it, which is awesome. If you guys have any comments, I know someone said I should do a live show. Maybe we'll do it more towards the end of the year, or we'll schedule something out. Leave a comment, especially on the YouTube or on my Twitter, and we'll talk about it. Like I said before, this 4 things was actually a comment from someone that viewed my stuff, which is awesome, and I used it, and now it's like one of the most watched segments of my show. 4 things. It was, as the segment goes, I Google the picture. I mean, I don't Google it. I put in a search in what makes my graphics, and the first picture that goes is what I use. Attack. The first one's attack. You see the snake attacking. The defense needs to attack. We need to put them down. They will hang around, and they can figure things out. Cole Kelly, like I said, is that gamer. And if they keep them in the game, Cole Kelly can pull some things out. I don't care if they're playing the Maulers defense. I think the Maulers defense is better, but I think Cole Kelly's got that knack for just putting a drive together, just getting enough. Number 2, the plants up there on the top right. That's growing. This team is growing, and I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Maulers, and we need to continue to grow. We cannot stay stagnant at all. Picture number 3 down here are those turnovers. I don't know what flavor they are, but they need to create turnovers. The defense needs to continue to lead the league in creating turnovers. The Showboats take care of the ball a little bit. They're like middle of the pack, so there are opportunities. But this defense, Mark Gilbert needs another interception. Gibson needs an interception. Someone needs a big turnover. Maybe it's a boogie fumble, right? They need to create a turnover, put them down, and attack. And I think turnovers are extremely important in every game, obviously. But I really think this team, you can put them down if you get a couple turnovers. And you saw what they did against the Stallions. It's a different quarterback. They're in a different field. Obviously, they got 2 wins in a row, but they have a knack that if you get aggressive on them, and it goes back to Todd Haley's team last year, if you get aggressive on them, it seems like they take their foot off the pedal and they're just ready to move on to next week a lot earlier than what they need to. And the fourth is sink the boats. They need to sink the boats. This is our one time in Memphis. It's just gotta win, right? This is the last time that we leave the city of Canton. Hopefully for the entire playoff, or throughout the entire thing. That means you win the championship if you stayed all the way until 4th of July in Canton. This is the last time that the Maulers are on the road for the entire year. That lines up pretty good for them. The only thing about that is same thing with the Generals, right? The Generals have to do it too. They have the same exact road schedule. So, and obviously week 10, you got to play the Generals. Tied for first, 2-3. Won 2 out of the last 3 games. No one else in the division can say that. Generals on a 2-game lose streak. Panthers are, I believe, on a 3-game lose streak. And the Stars obviously have the 1 win now. They had a week 1 win and a week 5 win. This division is there for the Maulers. If you look at power rankings, they're the only ones that consistently try to get in the top 4 for the USFL community. Everyone's got them up there outside RJ Young. And this defense is something special, and they need to continue to work on it. And that's the reason why they need to sink the boat this week. All right, guys. Well, that's another Victory Monday, winning Monday. I don't know what we're going to call it. I'm still getting used to it, right? That's Mason Stockey's touchdown that set the pace, and it was done. Dinner with Webb. Watch the USFL Network, 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. I thank you. Like I said, leave a comment. Maybe I'll come up with a segment. Maybe I'll get one of you guys to come on and I'll interview you guys, right? I will have a conversation about Maulers and then I'll plug it into the show. If you want to be part of the show, leave a comment on YouTube. It's the easiest place for me to collect them all. Instead of, I get DMs, it's just all over the place. I'd rather just have one place on the YouTube channel, the USFL Network. Dinner with Webb. Webb out. Hammer down. Webb out. I still haven't nailed that one right. We're going to go with hammer down. Webb out.